Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. This morning, while I was getting ready to go to Eid prayer, I saw a news report about Alton Sterling, an African American man who was killed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was killed by the police there. This brother was outside of a convenience store selling CDs, and apparently the police received a report about someone in red selling CDs and threatening someone with a gun. So the police arrive on the scene. And before I go any further, I encourage you all to watch the actual video footage of this shooting. I will include a link in the description box so that you can watch it for yourself. So the police arrive on the scene. They tell this brother to get down. They say, get down. They say that a couple of times, and then one of the officers dives on this brother and tackles him, and they fall over the hood of a vehicle. These officers pin this brother down to the ground. And I hear an officer say, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. And then one of the police officers pulls out his gun, and he fires shots into this brother's chest. And a citizen happened to capture this shooting on video footage. They captured it on their phone. So he fires this shot into this brother's chest. The brother was unarmed. The brother was pinned down. At that point, when he was held down, he didn't pose a threat to these officers. But somebody kept saying, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. So this officer fired 2 shots that you can see on camera. And then apparently the person that was recording the video footage, they panned away from the scene. I guess that they didn't want the police to actually see them filming what had occurred. So they panned away. And then somebody's in the car, a woman, and she's crying. She's like, they killed him. And while the camera is away from this brother, you hear at least 3 more shots. It sounds like it's 3 more shots. So I think that brother was shot at least 5 times. But according to the report, they say he was shot at least twice, more than twice actually. But they don't say exactly how many times he was shot. And from what I recall, he was shot in the back and in the chest. So here you have another brother dead. I'm going to post a link to a Washington Post article, and it points out how this brother is one of 505 people who have been killed this year by the police. This is another example of the police having complete and utter disregard for Black lives. And I frankly think, they said he's got a gun, he's got a gun. It is very possible that these police merely said that to give themselves justification to kill a Black man. And I can see already, I looked online to see about this brother's criminal record, because I know that the first thing that they're going to do to justify this killing is to try to tarnish this brother's name, to criminalize this brother, to dehumanize this brother, and to justify the brutality that was committed against this brother. So there's one website, and I'll include a link to that article as well. They point out this brother's criminal history. They say he's been arrested for assault, battery, drug possession, weapon charges. They claim that he's a deadbeat dad, and they also claim that he's affiliated to the Bloods gang. And they have video, not video, but actual photographs from his Facebook page, and they show him with a gun in one of the photographs. They use this to kind of justify what's happening. That's what they're going to do. You're going to see it on Fox News. They're going to constantly talk about his criminal record. They're going to talk about how they received a call saying that he was threatening somebody with a gun. They're going to talk about how somebody was shouting, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. And they're going to use all that together, all that information together to kind of justify this killing, to try to justify this killing. when here you have another black man lynched by these stinking police. Another example of police brutality. And this just shows again how relevant Jesse Williams' speech was. And while people are debating about this brother Jesse Williams, these pigs are killing another black man. While people are engaged in foolish shenanigans here on YouTube, these police have killed another black man. And the question is, how long is this going to continue? How long will this brutality continue before we finally take a stand against these police? Before we move it to the next level? Before we go beyond just marching and talking? Before we really do something to affect some kind of change? Because the last time I checked, every other month or every other day, there's a new black man killed by these police. And we sit back and do nothing for the most part. We have a few marches, and then after the marches are done with, we forget about it. It's over and done with. And it's business as usual, and then another brother is killed by these stinking police. Now, fortunately, we had this video footage, but there is more footage to come. You had dash cam footage, you had video footage from the store, and you also had body cameras. These police actually were wearing body cameras, according to this Washington Post report. But according to the family's attorneys, the police department has not released any of that video footage. They haven't released any of it. The question is, what do these pigs have to hide? What do they have to hide? That's why it's important for each one of us to monitor these police. In this modern age, we have the power to monitor them with our cameras on our phones. Just about everyone has a cell phone. We need to stand a reasonable distance from these pigs and monitor them. We have to be the watchmen, because these police can't be relied upon to police themselves. They can't be relied upon for transparency. And it's a disgrace. So people need to organize and demand that the police department release those video footage, those videotapes, so that we can know exactly what happened. I mean, and it's clear from those tapes, this was nothing but a modern day lynching. This brother was subdued. He wasn't a threat to these pigs. They had him pinned down, and this officer put a gun to this brother's chest and shot him dead. How many of these examples do we need to see? How many video footage or videos do we need to see of police killing our people before we finally wake the hell up and stand up and make this system fall? Bob Marley said, it takes a revolution to find a solution. That's what we need, a revolution. A revolution of the mind, a revolution of the soul, and a political revolution. Because business as usual is unacceptable. Because all we get is more of the same. That's all we get. And then we get these false promises of an investigation by the Department of Injustice. They tell us they're investigating that. In fact, they're conducting an investigation of this killing of Alton Sterling. But didn't they say they were investigating the killing of Trayvon Martin? Didn't they say they were investigating the killing of Michael Brown? Didn't they investigate all these other countless killings and countless crimes against black people? And more often than not, they don't bring any federal charges against these cops. The Justice Department, for the most part, is impotent. They have raised the legal bar so high that it is very difficult to bring federal charges against these stinking pigs. And that's a fact. I mean, rarely do they do it. You had to have a situation like Walter Scott where this brother was clearly butchered by a police officer, shot in the back multiple times. And then that cop tried to cover it up by trying to stage a scene. But I could hear these people trying to rationalize this killing right now. And we can't afford to sit around and wait for the Justice Department to investigate. You know, who knows how long that'll take. We need to step up the pressure now and demand that justice be rendered here. Demand that the local authorities bring charges against these cops for murder. That's what we need to do. We need to demand that that sheriff or that police chief resign. From what I understand, it's the police department, so the police chief should resign if he doesn't have the courage to take the action against these officers, to fire them immediately. Yeah, I mean, they give you all these countless promises of an investigation, and time again, no charges are brought. Time and time again, these officers get off. And we're tired of it. If you don't pursue justice on the local level, it's very difficult to get justice on the federal level. So I just want you all to know that I will be monitoring this situation. You know, I will continue to follow this case. And I want to hear what you think. I just wonder, how long will this continue? How long will we keep marching and praying and crying over another black man or black woman being killed by these police before we finally take real action? Because enough is enough.